The top 1% in New York City contributes around half of the personal income taxes, and they just elected someone who is openly hostile towards that 1%, basically ran a whole campaign on being hostile towards that 1%.
I don't particularly like to stitch Evan because I don't think he's very serious or genuine. I think that he just repeats conservative talking points to reinforce the preconceived notions of his base, and I don't think that he does any work towards actually correcting or learning anything for himself. I don't think he's genuine. I think he's just doing this as a grift. But it is interesting to watch his videos from time to time to see what the conservative talking points are. And the thing that I thought was most interesting was this idea that Mamdani's policies are open hostility towards the wealthy. The open hostility in question is a 2% tax on all individuals making more than $1 million per year, as well as a 2.5% increase on the corporate tax rate. And first of all, people don't move to New York City for the lower taxes. People move knowing it's a very highly taxed and expensive place to live. But also, taxation in itself is not open hostility. It is a way and a tool to help incentivize certain behaviors. Taxation is often just seen as a means to generate revenue for a government. However, you can also use taxes to incentivize reinvestment into a business. You can raise taxes on corporations, for instance, and then provide them with means for write-offs as well as tax credits so that they're encouraged to reinvest back into the business, as opposed to things such as stock buybacks or shipping money overseas. Now, if you do that and you encourage reinvestment back into a business, that strengthens a local economy, that encourages revenue and job growth, and in general, everybody wins. However, you can also use taxes to generate revenue that would help fund goods and services. One of the things that Mamdani wants to provide is free bus transportation. Now, Evan here claims that these will be 24/7 homeless shelters, but in general, if you make it easier for people to get from A to B, where people can move around much more quickly, that helps the economy. That helps people go to shows, events, that reduces traffic accidents, and in general, again, everybody wins. But again, Evan is calling this open hostility when it's a 2% tax increase and a 2.5% tax increase. According to the official state comptroller of the state of New York, the cost of living in the past 10 years in New York City alone has risen by about 68%. How is that not open hostility, but a 2% tax raise and a 2.5% tax increase is considered open hostility towards wealthy people? On top of everything else, the state of New York also provides about $11 billion in subsidies to corporations every single year. So again, the idea that this is open hostility is just incredibly disingenuous to me. And as a small business owner of a production company that sends out a few 1099s every year, I take issue with this conservative notion that the poor and middle class need the wealthy. In reality, it's the opposite. The wealthy need the poor and the middle class, because you don't make $1 million without someone else's help. You definitely don't make $1 billion without somebody else's help and labor. That's the way that the economy works. And if you don't have a consumer base that can survive and purchase products, what happens to the economy? It's just so ridiculous that we must have endless empathy for the wealthy because they are being taxed 2% more. That is considered open hostility. Meanwhile, 1 in 10 Americans are food insecure. How is it that the richest country in the world cannot feed its people? Like, how is that a problem in a country that has so much food production? There is open and systemic hostility in the United States, but it is certainly not towards the people who benefit the most from the current economy and taxation rates. It is certainly not against the wealthy.